With a spate of attacks and incidents of violence around the country in the past days, North Central governors meet on ways to rescue the region and secure it, and we dissect the situation in national security after killing of Christian leader. An APC leader and former Lagos Governor Bola Tinubu was waiting on the Amotekun debate. We dissect this intervention tonight on the show. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Okimale at Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos. Tonight, let's check out some political stories we're following for you on our political roundup.
The chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, says the commission has concluded plans to make vote buying difficult for unscrupulous politicians in the forthcoming by-elections in some states across the country. Magu also gave assurance of the extradition of the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Dezani Alison Madueke, before the end of this year. He wondered why Dezani has been enjoying protection outside Nigeria when they obviously could not compile charges against her, except those provided by the EFCC. Pensioners in Kwara State have called on the state governor to prevail on the former governor of the state, Bukola Saraki, to account for over 1 billion naira pensioners' money spent without being given to the beneficiaries. The pensioners who staged a protest from their secretariat to the government house in Ilorin, the state capital, noted that Bukola Saraki, as the governor of Kwara State in 2008, agreed to clear the outstanding pension arrears and gratuities of 9,030 accredited pensioners. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, is calling on the federal government to revisit cases of corruption in Nigeria's electricity sector and bring to justice all those who stole funds meant for electricity projects in the country. Some of the cases that SERAP wants the federal government to revisit includes the investigation of the alleged diversion of funds belonging to deceased PHCN workers, as well as the Lumelu rural electrification scandal. SERAP made the call at a policy dialogue in Abuja on how to promote transparency and accountability in the judiciary, education, and electricity sector. The People's Democratic Party in Imo State has been reacting to the recent development in the Imo State House of Assembly. Speaking to journalists in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the state secretary of the party, Mr. Ray Emenia, described the defections as lack of integrity on the part of those who deserted the party. He asked that most of the PDP lawmakers who defected are originally not PDP members, but lawmakers that defected to PDP when Ihedioha emerged governor. He assures PDP supporters in the state to remain calm and resolute as the Supreme Court in the coming days corrects the anomaly meted on the party. He says PDP in Imo remains unshakable and not perturbed with defection, as PDP still controls the majority in the House of Assembly.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Tonight, our attention is on the issues of security and what the efforts of the federal government has been on that. Today, the governors of North Central region of the country have met, and they're coming out with a position on how to better secure the region. They met, and they are saying that they will further keep to the agenda of meeting regularly to ensure that the region is better governed and secure. Also from Benue State, the governor there has raised an alarm over what is described as the influx of killer herdsmen into farming communities in his state. He met with some military personnel and also leaders of the Christian Association of Nigeria. The leadership of CAN voiced out on what they describe as the invasion of killer herdsmen in the state. Well, last year, the federal government announced the plans to withdraw the military across the country where they are currently performing civil duties. But with the recent incidents, what is the way forward? Let's discuss this, everyone. I have joining me the chairman of House Committee on the Army, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, and one of the leaders of the opposition political party, PDP, Yemi Akinwumi, and a security and conflict expert, Mr. Ndu Nwokolo. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. At some point, we will also dissect the issues of regional security, the initiatives of these governors. The Southwest governors are talking on how to secure their region. The North Central region governors are also speaking on how best to secure the region. So what is the way forward? The All Progressives Congress national leader, Bola Tinubu, has broken his silence, has spoken at last on the controversial security outfit Operation Amotekun, recently launched by the governors of the Southwest state to tackle insecurity in the zone. In a statement, the APC national leader called for what he described as a private discussion between the governors and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, over the matter. He said there is no basis for the fears about the foundation of the country being at risk as a result of the Southwest security outfit, warning that the fabric could be torn by what he called the dangerous rhetoric of those who should know better. In his words, quote, those claiming that this limited, inoffensive addition to security threatens the Republic have taken themselves upon a madcap excursion. Those claiming that the federal government seeks to terribly suppress the Southwest have also lost their compass. According to the former governor of Lagos State, Operation Amotekun is about how best the state governments can assist with the safety and security of their people. But the initiative has been turned into a political tug of war. He said the best way to resolve the matter is the issue of dialogue. Well, so dialogue, effort at gathering intelligence. And with what we saw, the president, in fact, came out to condemn the beheading of a Christian leader in the northeastern region of the country. Let's get a sense of how can we solve some of this problem and stop the spate of attacks across the country. Don't forget the federal government says there is a plan to withdraw military presence in some areas of the country where they're performing civic duties. My guest tonight, let me turn to them in our Abuja studio. Let me perhaps begin with a reaction from Ed Akinwumi on what the former Lagos governor has said and his intervention on the part. I know your party came out to talk about the Amotekun in a statement today. What is the position of your party on the Amotekun and perhaps regional security in the country?
Well, thank you, Shion. My party has given its own position on regional security outfit in Nigeria. But I would rather give my own opinion as a Nigerian and as a politician. You see, the primary responsibility of any government, be it federal, state, or local government, is the protection of lives and properties. Any government that fails to do that is no more a government. Of course, in a democratic setting, when government fails to protect lives and property, we describe such a government as a failed government, a government that has failed. That is why observers are saying now that this Nigeria is drifting towards a failed state. You see, I am happy you announced that in Northeast that governors are meeting. Very soon, all regional governors will meet and protect their own citizenry. If they don't do so, they have failed. And let me tell you today that what happened in Southwest was not directly the volition of the governors. The governors are pressurized by the citizens of Southwest to do so. Afenifere met, they accepted it. Yoruba Elder Council met, they accepted it. OPC met, they accepted it. Abubakar met, they accepted it. All strata of organizations in Southwest met the recommended Amotekun before the governors of Southwest keyed in. So they are pressurized to key in. They have no option at that one. Otherwise, they want to lose their followership, which no governor will pray for. Which no governor will pray for. And it is becoming worrisome when the security architecture of a state has failed. It becomes worrisome. And particularly when you can finger the hand of government in the failure of the security architecture. it becomes very serious and worrisome. For example, of all these people that have been wreaking havoc in Southwest and other zones of Nigeria, how many of them have been arrested? How many of them have been prosecuted? How many have been jailed? No one. Then even the question is, with my little knowledge of arms and ammunition in Nigeria, the arms and ammunition you can license, which you are free to carry, the single barrel gun, double barrel gun, and pump action. But the very gun used by these people, this husband, that the AK-47, a gun that is prohibited completely. Nobody's allowed to. No private citizen, except the security forces, is allowed to carry AK-47. And this is a gun that is carried freely in Nigeria. Why are they not arrested? Why are they not arrested? How are they brought into this country? Why are they imported? From which, do they come from heaven? Did they not pass through the borders of Nigeria or the seaports? Why are they not arrested? So it gives the observers concern that the government knows what it's doing. The government is in support of all these things. And when the government supports, what is the next option left open? Is restructuring. It is restructuring. Because if you don't restructure for you to evolve a system that will protect your own citizens, you have failed. And I will not be surprised in the no distant future for all the other zones of Nigeria to get involved in their own security outfit. And even the security outfit that is in Southwest that we are carrying war and wood today, is it the first one? What are the JTF in the Northeast? JTF, civilian JTF in Northeast. JTF, as we are made to understand, is the only one going to Sambisa Forest, not the military. Going there, because they know the terrain, they know everything about the terrain of the region. And they carry sophisticated weapons. And nobody, the federal government did not challenge that. And the federal government allowed them to complement the effort of the military. In Kano, there's a security outfit there. The federal government allowed it to complement the effort of security. Why are they saying that Amateku should not complement the effort of government, of the security outfits in the Southwest? Why are they saying that? It then means that the government has a hidden agenda, which is unknown to all of us.
Let me bring in another of the panelists on the program tonight, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdaz, who has a duty to also know what the military and the army specifically is doing. Honorable Namdaz, the federal government says it will withdraw the military from civic duties across the country. What is your own take, based on your own findings, on the situation of security in the country?
I thank you, Sean, for this opportunity. I want to say it clearly, as Chairman Committee on Army, personally, I have also been to the theater. I've been to the Northeast, and the theater commander has taken us around. And I can tell you that there is challenge. There's no doubt about that. But the Nigerian military have done their best, and they're still doing it, because to be factual, a number of arrests have been made, and a lot of people have already been arrested. So I want to say that, again, just like the last speaker just said, it may not be true to say that in the Northeast, only JTF civilians that get to Sambisa Forest. The military get to Sambisa Forest. But to say that the JTF assists the military, I would say it is very true. But to say only JTF people will go to the forest where the military stay is really not a factual statement. And but I cannot agree with him. But I want to say that the president has said very clearly that people who are demanding for withdrawal of the military, we have to know that it has to be very, very gradual. And even areas where you think they are safe, we will not endanger communities and the people there. If you do withdrawal on time, and then you may even be exposing the people to danger, and the federal government is not ready to take those chances. So this withdrawal that people are looking for will come gradual, and we have to assess the situation on ground. Because as of today, the police are doing their best. But I can tell you, Nigerians are more comfortable seeing the presence of the military in these operations. If you withdraw military in certain quarters, the same community people are the ones that will tell you that we cannot sleep with our two eyes closed. We will need the military to come back. So I know that it is not good to say that the military will be kept in internal security matters for too long. But whatever decision we have to take, we must make sure that we are dealing with lives. Politics is a very important thing. I'm a politician, but we have to be careful not to play politics with the lives of people. And I tell you that military are quite doing their best, and then we need to give them support. And I quite agree. Let me even digress to say that even this issue of amateur code and whatever, because I know that security is not a one-man business. Everybody has to come on stake to see how we can resolve it. If people feel that this is a way to go about and reduce crisis in their areas, me, I would not object to that. The only issue is that, just as our leader just said, this must be done in consultation. We must make sure that it does not take political tone. We must make sure that we are doing this in the best interest of the people. Just as he has just quoted, the business of government is to provide welfare and security of the people. And that can only be done when you assess things very objectively without bringing politics into the matter, because that may also jeopardize. So I agree that when time comes, we will withdraw military from those areas that are a little bit safer. But that can only also be done when there is an assessment so that the civil police can take over. And we have to be sure, are the police also very much ready? Are they empowered to also ensure that they take? Because even the police feel that they need more training, they need more equipment. So this is something that we have to be very careful about. I support decisions that were done, but that has to be done with true assessment. That is my take on that.
All right. Before we go on our first break on the program, let me ask the security expert, Mr. Undu Nwokolo is a security and conflict expert, to give us a sense of what is happening in the country, the pockets of incidents that we see across the country. In the North Central region, Governor of Benue said is saying that there is an influx of killer headers into some communities in that state. Southwest is clamoring for regional kind of policing. What do you think is happening across the country? Is it a security emergency?
Well, thank you, Shehu. I think the situation is calling for a more proactive action. And, you know, especially from the way we think, we reason, and we are trying to deal with the problem. Are we actually speaking to the problem? Or are we just being political about the entire thing? Let's be honest, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria has become so emotional that millions of Nigerians, but everybody, we are no longer thinking, we are just emotional. There are no hardcore work. I mean, evidence-driven work to direct us on what to do. I may ask the question, is state police the way to go? If so, how? Then the question is, why don't we speak to the problem? Why don't we commission research? Why don't we sit down as a people and talk? If that is the best way to go, so be it. Let's stop being political about it. Let's take the issue of Amotekun. The question one may be asking is, if that will solve the problem of insecurity in the Southwest, why are we opposing it?
All right.
If that won't solve the problem, then... So the argument
Mr. Nwokolo,
is...
apologies.
Either way
apologies to break into your thought. We'll take a break. It's our traditional break on the program. It's a 1 hour edition of the program. It's Wednesday. But when we come back, I'll allow Mr. Nwokolo to continue on that line of thought. And we're looking at security generally in the country. Wherever you may be, are you secured? Do you have an idea of how the government can make security better in wherever you may be in the country? We'll talk more on keeping Nigeria safe. Don't go anywhere. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. They say security is a primary assignment of any government. And so we're discussing that tonight. Wherever you may be across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, Abuja. If you're thinking about security, especially when the issue of Amotekun, a security outfit in the southwest region, has become a very popular debate across the land. And today, the North Central governors are discussing on how best to secure their region. The issues in the Northeast. Only yesterday, the president spoke about the beheading of the Khan leader, and also there are talks about withdrawing military presence in some civil activities across the country. What is the way out? That's what we're discussing on my panel tonight. Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas is the chairman, House Committee on the Army, and the House of Representatives from Abuja studio. Elder Yemi Akinwumi is Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you so much for coming tonight. And Mr. Undu Nwokolo is a security and conflict expert. He was the one speaking before we went on that break. So let's get back to it. You were talking about what we need to do as a people. Regional security, Amotekun as a factor, and perhaps the response from the APC leader, Bola Tinubu, on the way to go and the impasse in that matter.
Okay, back to my line of argument. My argument is this: it's not about if it's a regional arrangement, or we call it state police, or internal security arrangement like the vigilante. If you find out that out of in the country presently, 32 states out of 36 has one kind of internal security arrangement or the other. Only about 4 states, and have opted out. So it shows that we really have a problem. So based on that, if you flip it on the other side and look at what Southwest decided to do, the argument is not about them doing it. The argument is about, will that provide the solution to the problem? And where I think we are going wrong is about the politicization of the entire thing. By now, I expect the 2 main political parties, the APC and the PDP, to start organizing workshop, debates, conferences, gather people and sit and debate about it. Is that the solution to our problem? If that is
let me ask you, apologies to Botin, Mr. Nwokolo. You are the security expert here. From your knowledge, you've spent some quality time in the northeastern region of the country, and you've seen some of the template being used in the northeastern region of the country. And I'd like to ask you, from 2001 or 2011 up until now, would you say the situation, for example, in the northeast has improved?
I wouldn't say it has improved. I wouldn't say, because if you look at the Northeast, because it's not like any other kind of insecurity, because it has to do with terrorism. At times it's very difficult to determine. There is this kind of fluid nature of the whole conflict. You might have a situation today, you think, yes, it has improved. Then the next day, the terrorists will attack. So it continued to flip here and there, So, but the situation is that even while Nigerians are looking at the Northeast, I think the most unsafe place, one of the most unsafe places we have in Nigeria is even the Northwest, not even the Northeast.
Why would you say so?
So if you flip it here and there and every part of the country, I think we have a situation.
Why would you say the Northwest is perhaps the most unsafe place in Nigeria?
Yeah, because if you look at the number of casualties in the Northwest, the banditry going on, it's even far, far higher than what we have in the Northeast. Only that because we've not beamed our satellite, or because the international community have a kind of concentrated on the Northeast, the killings going on between Zamfara, Kaduna, and Katsina is more than what is going on in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. That is the way it is. But most times we concentrated on the Northeast because of we saw an uprising that the state threat is being threatened. But the number of Nigerians being killed in the Northwest is bigger than what we have in the Northeast. So the situation is appalling. We need to sit down as a people and think through the problem and talk to the situation.
All right.
How do we solve it?
Again,
It's not a political issue.
apologies to
but
Button
because we've
again,
tried to
Mr.
put
Nwokolo. I like to quickly get your intervention because I like my other panelists on the program to weigh in. But you were saying that situation in the Northeast has not really improved. But there was a time the government would say that in several local governments in the Northeast, there are flags hoisted by the insurgent, the terrorists. But they say that there are no territories being owned or being taken by these terrorists. In that sense, would you say things have not improved?
Shehu, that's the funny thing, and that is an argument I will all each time argue, against. In between 2011 up to the time the present administration took over, yes, they held territory. We said it was territory bigger than Belgium, but because these guys are intelligent, immediately the army started defeating them. They changed their tactics. And it was at that period they split into Boko Haram and ISWAP. So they now knew that they needed to they changed their strategy. What they did was, okay, we're not going to hold territory again, but we'll continue to hold swear. What did they do? They've continued to change the position, the way they've organized themselves, and the way they attack the army. If you look at it, what is happening is that Boko Haram goes for the soft target. They try to attack citizens. But ISWAP on its own attacks hard target. They attack the military formation and so on. So they have different strategy. So you find out that they may not be holding territory as they were doing pre-2015, but their strength has not gone, lower than we could say we've defeated them.
Okay, let me allow. I will skip Ed Akinwumi just for some strategic reasons, and because I want the chairman House Committee on the Army to respond directly to what Mr. Nwokolo has said, because he, I know, had visited the theater of war in the Northeast region. How would you react to what Mr. Nwokolo has said? Because he has also worked in that region. He has made some researches there. From when you visited, how do you correlate some of the words of Mr. Nwokolo and what you saw on the ground?
Well, Mr. Shewan, I'm not just the chairman of the House Committee on Army. I come from the Northeast. I am from Adamawa State specifically. So I am not even going to talk just as hearsay. Let me first agree that we have challenges in the Northeast, even as I speak, because the Christian Association of Nigeria's chairman, chairman of Michika, is also from Adamawa State. So if he just was killed recently, I wouldn't say that there are no challenges. And this is unfortunate that this incident happened. But I can tell you that there is an improvement because I've been to the theater. And Mr. Shewan, I was also in Gwaza when the army organized Wasa. And I went there. And I can tell you that there are improvements because the army they have also changed strategy, just like Nwokolo has said. They also respond to the way these insurgents also change their strategy because there is this super camp notion that they've come with. It is a response to the challenges the army is also facing. Before the super camp concept, these guys would come and attack the army sometimes, and then the army will repel. But the army realized that, look, we have to come with a concept so that we can also be on the move and then also be pursuing the insurgents. So to some extent, they've also been dealing with the insurgents. But the truth is that in as much as they also change, the army also do their own changes. So, and they have also been given improved additional weapons and then training in order to call that. But Shewan, I must let you know, this kind of warfare is something that is not going to be said to have said this is okay and this is not okay, because these guys will come and ambush and then go back. And they attack soft areas, as he has also said, which is not disputable. But the army also attack. But the problem is that because more often than not, when they do the attack on the military, and some people will say, okay, the military are not doing anything. I think it will not be true. They are doing their best, and they're also repelling attacks, making arrests. Also, you can see them even displaying some of the flags of the insurgents that they've also captured. It's seen in the video. But I think they need to do, they need to be encouraged to also do more because they're also human beings. And I must also tell him that in the southwest, in the northwest that he was talking about, that has also reduced to some extent, to be sincere. As shown, the governors of Zamfara, Katsina, and I think Sokoto, they have also been, although it's not something that people are hailing, it's not good to be talking to bandits. But when you are in a very dire situation, people are dying. Sometimes this academic approach to security cannot work. So the leaders have taken upon themselves and say, look, we have to discuss with this. And like when the governor of Zamfara came on board, to be fair to him, these things have reduced. I'm not saying there are no banditry in Zamfara. I'm not saying there are no banditry in Northwest, but it has also reduced because of the proactive nature, the decisions that these governors have taken. But I can assure you, we have challenges, and we will require citizens to come together to see how we can help the army and other paramilitary forces put together. And we in the parliament, we can also do our own best to see that this situation is arrested.
All right. We'll come back to some of the ways to tackle these issues. A lot of people have come out to say, well, we need to tackle them in pockets, in bits and pieces, not as a whole. Well, the governor of Benue State had come out to say, do not withdraw the military just yet because there are influx of some of these guys who are killing our people. But I will come to Elder Akinwumi in a moment, but I'd like him to listen to one of the military chiefs in the country who earlier in last week, I guess, had a meeting. They had a meeting, the military chiefs had a meeting with the president, and this was the outcome. Issues of community policing. Take a listen to him, everyone. I allow Elder Akinwumi to react on some of the issues on regional security in the country.
We have critically looked at everything, and we are satisfied with the progress we are making. We are satisfied with the support that the federal government is giving the armed forces and other security agencies. Our appeal is for all Nigerians and other stakeholders to join hands with the armed forces of Nigeria and other security and intelligence agencies to ensure that our country is secured, rather than looking at other methods that are likely going to negate the national policing and community policing policy that the federal government has approved. What we expect is for all stakeholders, local governments, state governments, other stakeholders to join hands with us and let us work together to ensure that our country is secured.
Elder Akinwumi, you heard Vice Marshal Sadiq there talking about stakeholders not doing what will negate the federal concept of policing the country. Now, you heard what also the APC leader Bola Tinubu said, that the governors of the Southwest should meet with the Attorney General of the nation to resolve the impasse on the issues of the Amotekun. What are your thoughts on these issues?
Thank you very much. Let me tell you frankly speaking, there are three sources of information about the situation in Northeast. One from the military, one from the government, federal government, and one from the local people. If you compare the three sources of information, the most likely reliable is the one from the local people. The three of them are at variance. You remember when we were told that they have decimated Boko Haram? Have they decimated Boko Haram today? Has the Boko Haram been disseminated today? Remember that the government has said we have now taken over from them. Have they taken over from them today? It is the local people that will tell you the fact that rather than being disseminated, the Boko Haram is rising every day. And the only occasion there's slight improvement in Northeast was the involvement of the JTF, civilian JTF. And it is in a warfare. I'm not a military man. It is logical. You remember during the American-Vietnamese War. American-Vietnamese War was the only war America could not win decisively. Because Vietnam is a jungle environment. It is the local people that knows it better than American who are on the area fight. The Vietnamese soldiers can operate in the jungle better than American soldiers. In the same vein, It is the local people, JTF, that can penetrate Sambisa forest better than the military. They know the terrain. They know everywhere there. As against the soldier from Lagos, a military man from Ibadan, going to Sambisa forest to go and make impact. He cannot make as much as JTF. That's why we are saying that this local arrangement of security can complement that effort of the government better, can make things better than all of us, instead of relying on conventional military people.
Now, Edakunwami, let me get you clearly. Apologies to Button. Edakunwami, let me get you clearly. Are you saying the Southwest government, as a region, should set up its own security apparatus or outfit? The Northeast government, as a region, should set up its own, and we have all of these pockets of outfits policing the country, and still have a federal police? Or you're saying we should restructure the whole policing agenda, template of the country? What exactly are you talking about, sir?
Let me tell you, Seun, if not for civilian JTF, Boko Haram would have overrun the whole Nigeria. The whole Nigeria. They would have overrun the whole Nigeria from Northeast to the Atlantic Ocean. They would have overrun by now.
Even with the presence of the military, are you saying that even with the presence of the military?
The JTF, local security outfit in the Northeast. They are the one that holding them to obey to up to today. Other sources of information from the military, from the government, they are lies. It's not factual. It's far from the truth. They are economical with the truth. Completely economical with the truth.
Chairwood, I want to add something, if you will give me the opportunity. This addition I want to make is that I'm not reacting to him, just putting facts, and the people watching us will make analogy. Sir, I want to say that in the Northeast, that he's talking about JTF, in fact, even local hunters have been helping in also going into the bushes, if that is what we need to say. In my state, the governor there has even agreed that he is going to pay them some stipends, salaries, stipends, allowances, so that they can go and help other security forces to capture Boko Haram and other kidnappers. The truth is that the major role JTF played is not that they have AK-74. No, they assist because, as you say, they know certain nooks and crannies. They assist. And number two, they identify even Boko Haram because they live within them. They know people who are Boko Haram members. This JTF identify to the military that this is a Boko Haram member, and then these guys will pick them up. It's not as if that it is JTF is holding AK-47 and doing the fight. This is something that we have to be very factual about it. But I must say that in addition to JTF, the local hunters have played a vital role. But that does not say that it is the JTF and the hunters that are fighting insurgents and arming people as spectators and are watching. This is not factually true. But I can tell you that they've assisted. These are things that I want people watching us to know, because I come from the area and I know that this is what is really happening. It will say here that military in Nigeria are mere spectators will be unfortunate, truly speaking. But I respect his views, but I'm just trying to put things in perspective. Thank you so much.
We'll take a breather. When we come back, it's solution. We need to get out of this quagmire that we find ourselves as a people. What are the solutions? I do believe that we can conquer some of these challenges, but what is the way forward? My panelists tonight on the program will share their views on the way to go from here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We're home at the home stretch of the program, and we're looking at a solution to the challenges of insecurity in Nigeria. Some of your thoughts are quite interesting, and do keep them coming. For example, I'll probably pose this question or poser to my guest in the program. Comrade Kunle at A Adekunle 1234 says on Twitter, he tweeted to us to say, let the northern leaders find a way of improving educational standard of their region. Banditry, Fulani herdsmen attacks, Boko Haram insurgency, and are all products of low literacy level. The children are being used for all these. And one of the issues that have been raised on the issues of out-of-school children and perhaps the issue of unemployment, I said earlier that we're talking about solutions. Let me come to you, Mr. Ndu Wokolo. You have been there in the northeast region of the country, and so we have seen each region facing its own security challenge. Going forward, do we need or do we have a federal template or a nationwide template that we can use in fixing some of the security challenges that we are facing as a people?
Who is to talk?
Mr. Wokolo, I was
Well,
asking that each region of the country, perhaps every state has its own challenge, its own fair share of the insecurity in the country. Do we have, based on research, a general template that we can use in fixing some of these problems?
Well, I don't think there is no, probably that's why we're having the problem we're having. There is no one, one jacket fit all for our security situation. So each region has its own peculiarity and need to solve its problem within those its needs and peculiarity. Probably that's why we are a federation. People that carved our constitution and called Nigeria and felt that we should be a federation, I think they were not stupid. They looked at our diversity, our culture, our religion, the terrain, and every other thing, and felt we should be a federation. In that sense, meaning that we should look at those things that are peculiar to us and find a way to use it to solve our problem. For instance, if you look at the issue of kidnapping in Nigeria, from the research we did in next year SPD shows that each region has its own type of kidnapping. For instance, if you are traveling from Kaduna to Zamfara or along the northwestern line, any kidnapping there might likely be people running out of the bush and shooting sporadically. What they do is that they'll gather everybody into the bush. They know the terrain. And then they will start asking people to bail themselves with ₦1 million. As much as you can bargain, then they let you go. It's not the same strategy that they use in the southeast. For instance, if someone is kidnapped in the southeast, the person that kidnapped the person knows him very well, and he must have come from the community. And you're likely not to see someone coming out to kidnap somebody in the southeast on the road because, well, you cannot even walk 3-4 miles in any village in the southeast without getting into one other village. So it's impossible. That's why states like Anambra, if they found out that someone was kidnapped and is in a particular house, the state government would demolish that house. But you do not find the same situation in the Northwest. So you find out that these are the peculiarities that we need to consider when we are thinking about issues of insecurity. How do we solve our security situation? Now, let's talk about the issue of out-of-school children in the Northwest and so on. We have about 14-point-something million out-of-school children. Think, in the next 20 years and these kids don't go to school, what will happen? That means we've used our own hands to create a situation. I thank you to the man that talked about that in Twitter. So that's what we're saying. We need to think. We need to work. We need to come out as a people, be patriotic about it. Let's not politicize it. Look at our situation. Will this solve our situation? For instance, the issue of Ameteku is the problem because it's called regional. If that is the problem, each of the states could go to their state assembly and still legislate that they want to have their own internal security arrangement and still work cooperatively within Southwest. So what have we lost? Nothing.
Mr. Nwokolo, let me quickly allow the other two guests on the program to weigh in and get their final thoughts on the program. Ed Akinwumi, what would you advise it is the way forward? Is it a political re-engineering of our national fabric or what?
Thank you, Seun. The simple solution to insecurity in Nigeria is we have to we have to operate a true federalism in Nigeria. True federalism. Probably you were not born that time. You may be too young to know when Nigeria was a true federal state. Every state has its own peculiarity, how to do things, the way they go about. That was why the Western region, Western state, was ahead in education. That was why. It's not a rule that we have to go pari passu the same level. It's not a rule. We have to evolve your local peculiarity to suit what you need, what you make as your own priority. What you make as your own priority, you develop it. So let us go to 2014 confab and implement decision of all Nigeria that came together to fashion a policy for Nigeria. Don't let us continue to rely on this Western borrowed political ideology of presidential ideology. So if that is the only solution that can make us get, for example, if we are operating a federal system of government where we have our own security apparatus in Southwest, no herdsman will come from Sokoto to come to Southwest. They will not. I can tell you they will never come. Neither do you have any security, any person, any minister from Southwest going to Katsina. They will never.
All right.
Because
let's allow Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas because of the remainder of the time that we have on the program. Honorable Namdas, is this a reality too much to ignore that this nation needs to restructure? If so, does your party, the APC, have the political will to make it happen?
Well, I didn't get the last question, but let me say that...
the question is this,
clearly,
so that you can help us
yes.
deal with it. The question is this: is this a reality too much to ignore that the nation needs to restructure now? If so, does your political party, the APC, have the political will to make it happen?
Yes, my party has that, actually, the political will. But the truth is this. Even in Parliament, we have talked about the devolution of powers. And these are things that hopefully when we are doing constitutional review, these are things that will be taken into consideration. And I can tell you, even the issue of state police, when the issue of constitutional review comes into place, I believe that the leadership of the National Assembly, in particular, Right Honorable Feng Bajamia, the Speaker, and the Senate President, they will cue into this idea of having a state police. So that if we have, because the fear initially was that governors will take over the structure and deal with political opponents. But I think we should live beyond that. Every governor has a time limit. You will do your 4 years and go. You either become opposition tomorrow or you become a free citizen of Nigeria. So that can cut off with you. So that one, if we change that, it will help. But more seriously, Sean, is that there is need for both the states, the local and federal to work together. For instance, provision of job. Once every tier of government can provide job opportunities to the teeming unemployed youth, provide infrastructure in those local governments, in the states, that will help. There are certain states that even access roads becomes a problem, even to the villages. So by the time you provide infrastructure, provide employment, it naturally reduces this idea of insecurity. This is not about just having gone to shoot people, but having the opportunity to say, okay, we can provide this infrastructure, provide employment, and we as parliament should legislate, give laws that can give effect, provide state police.
Honorable
That
Namdas.
is my thought on that, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on the Army. Thank you so much for your thoughts tonight. Eda Yemi Akinwumi is the Deputy National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And Mr. Ndu Nwokolo is a Senior Research Fellow at Next Year and a Security and Conflict Expert. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Okimale. Bye for now.